It's 11:41 and it's also Wednesday, so that means plant and garden expert Craig Hignight is joining us live to answer all of your burning questions. Good morning, Craig.
Good morning.
Great to see you.
Hey,
all right.
Glad to be here.
Of course.
Our favorite day.
Yes, Craig Day. All right, so our first question is from Tim Rupert. And he says, I have peonies and hostas which need to be moved due to water line work in my yard. What are the chances of them surviving a move at this time?
Their chances are really very good. I always say, it's a kill or cure operation. So just remember, you need to move them with a good chunk of soil on their roots. As a matter of fact, you don't necessarily have to replant them. If you could get them up against the north side of a building and bury those root balls in mulch and just keep them watered until the water line work is all done, you can put them right back where they were before. Just remember to make sure that the soil has some organic matter worked into it. And of course, the root stimulator never hurts.
That's a popular plant this morning because we have another peonies question from Carl. I purchased several yellow peonies, but when they finally bloomed, they were red. Can I put lime or something else in them to change their color to yellow?
Really, these are point chimeras. That's why the plant became yellow in the first place. Maybe it has reverted back to its original color. There is no chemical that you can use. That is strictly a genetic thing inside the plant. So we're just going to keep our fingers crossed that the yellow reappears somewhere down the road. That is strictly between the plant and Mother Nature.
Interesting.
This is actually kind of funny. So before we came back from commercial, someone had texted in, hi, Craig, Devin, and Andrew. Well, he just answered and he said, oh, hi, Ava. Hi, Bill.
Good morning, Bill.
Okay, so we've got a question here from Lisa. She wants to know, do Chinese lanterns like full sun?
Yes, Chinese lanterns are a full sun plant, and be careful. They can be actually a little bit invasive once you get them in the ground, but it's basically general care. If we don't get rain for 10 days, make sure you keep them watered, use some organic fertilizer on them, and enjoy.
This is from Christy. Will my asparagus come back if I keep cutting it and don't allow it to seed out?
It's going to come back, but it's going to be greatly reduced. The important thing is when asparagus finally gets down to about the size of your index finger, you stop harvesting. At that point, you will go ahead and fertilize the bed. And I always tell people, don't forget about your asparagus in August and September. Make sure that you keep the bed well watered, because that is when next year's growth is actually being gotten ready underground. So stop harvesting when it gets down to this size.
Mary says, I had a beautiful clematis. I placed a standing fountain in front of it. It died. Do they not like to get the leaves wet?
They don't like their feet to be wet. If that fountain was splashing water out, the reason that clematis always did well on Grandma's porch is the fact that their roots were running in under the porch where it never rains. So clematis actually don't mind a dry condition. Could be the fountain was the culprit.
Question from Joe. What are some tricks to grow huge potatoes?
Huge potatoes. Well, work your soil well. Make sure you get the organic matter in there. Plant them properly. Actually, potatoes go in the ground right around St. Patrick's Day. It's a long season crop. Make sure that as the plant grows, you hill it up. When you get done, each plant should have a little mound of soil. Well, it doesn't have to be little. My cousin actually got his mounds 2 feet deep one year.
Oh.
He had a fantastic potato crop. And of course, watch the watering. They're a water hog just like tomatoes. They're first cousins. So the mounding and watering is definitely going to help the potato crop you get.
I'd be very curious to see how that works out for him.
Yeah.
All right, well, keep sending us your questions and we'll be right back after the break. All right, welcome back. We're talking to our plant and garden expert, Craig Hignight. We're still taking all of your questions through our live stream on the WQAD Facebook page. So go ahead, let's get into it.
Yeah, we left off with, I believe, Patty. When and how do you divide lavender plants?
Lavender, it's really not divisible. It's a little bit too woody. If you would happen to get a little baby plant that comes up next to mom where you could lift it and move it with some roots attached, the proper way of propagating lavender is to take cuttings before the plant comes into bloom. They're not super difficult to root. If you get that nice new soft growth in the spring, use some rooting compound. Got root stimulator on the brain. Rooting compound and put it through a normal propagating procedure.
From Denise, my husband says putting the grass clippings on tomato plants help keep moisture in. Is this true?
Your husband wins this one. That's the reason we
Dang
mulch
it.
everything, whether it's hardwood mulch, grass clippings. It is to conserve moisture and suppress weeds. Just remember that you don't want to use grass clippings that have had chemical on them for at least 2 to 3 mowings after the chemical has been applied. The 4th mowing can go on the garden.
Dang it, we were really rooting for you, Denise.
Shock of a win for Denise's husband there. From Gail, can I totally cut away most of the aloe plant to repot?
It is not going to be any problem to do some pruning to the top and the roots. Just make sure that so many times when an aloe needs to be repotted, it's already lopped over. They get very heavy once they get above the soil line, and that stem from the leaves down to the soil line goes into the soil. The leaves should just touch the soil and be standing straight up when your plant is repotted.
Our director, Brandy, she wants to know when's the best time to propagate or the best way to propagate a plant?
Well, the best way is usually it's softwood cuttings. You use a propagating mix. I usually use like 2 measures of potting soil and 1 measure of perlite all mixed together. You pre-wet your propagating media. You use your rooting compound, looks like talcum powder. You put your cutting in there. Then you dibble the hole that you're putting the cutting in and then tamp the soil back in around the base. You don't want to wipe the rooting compound off as you're sticking it in the soil. And then I like to use a clear plastic bag, put your propagating pot inside the bag and seal it up. You've made a little terrarium, bright light, not direct sunlight. Keep your fingers crossed and they should root.
From Paula, how do I get grass to grow under my spruce trees?
Good luck. Grass just does not grow under spruce trees. And probably the only way you're going to get grass to grow under spruce trees is to limb them up about 6 to 8 feet above the ground. Between the competition of the roots and the acid conditions, the tree is taking all the moisture, getting all the sun. Grass just doesn't grow well under spruce trees until they're limbed up.
All right, this is our last question, and it's from Evan. He says, where does Craig get his shirts? I need a couple for my honeymoon. Well, first of all, Evan, congratulations.
Yeah.
Yes, congratulations, and you have to go to St. Thomas to get the shirts.
There you go. There you have it. Well, be sure to tune in and join our Facebook Live with Craig each and every Wednesday. There you can submit your questions and be part of our conversation. And here's